Everyone. Welcome to the team call. I anticipate lower attendance tonight since it's a different time than people are used to. I don't know that we've ever had a team call on a Wednesday night, but I just made the executive decision with my husband's birthday to move it because I didn't want to, I didn't want to cancel the call. This was very important for me this is something that I've been working on for a little bit, and it's really important for me to share, but obviously wanted to honor my husband. And welcome, Keely, back in the States. Thanks for being here. Maybe people are catching this recording because they have something going on Wednesday night. So I'm excited about this call. It's going to be very different. I mean, I think it's, maybe kind of a different call than most team calls for us, but definitely within Beachbody. But that's okay because I'm excited about it. We have some chats down here. Any wins down here? Whoa, no one has a win? Well, Chelsea, your win is that Keely's back. I'll take it. That's a good one. So yes, in the chat, I would love to hear your wins. And this is actually a small part of what I'm talking about today is, gratitude. And I just posted something on my a separate account that I have about gratitude is a great growth strategy. And I think it's really unfortunate that so many of us have a hard time coming up with a win because all we can see is what's wrong and what's not right, where we're not happy with things. And that comes from this scarcity mindset. And so I am trying to encourage this abundance mindset, trying to help my team to come to create abundance by thinking that way. So love the sample workout this morning. Awesome. And the 12 days of giving that many of you are familiar with now because I've sent it out an email. It's a component of that will be gratitude, but we're going to talk about that at the end. The content today for the call is going to kind of lead us into 12 days of giving. But who here has seen that email? You know what I'm talking about. You might not, some people aren't signed up on the newsletter. They thought they were, so you might not see that. I also put in the team page today, and good, Rochelle. I'm super excited about it. So let me go ahead and get started because I feel like I have a lot to cover, and I had to take notes because I have notes to follow because I know I'll miss some things or ramble if I don't. So pardon me as I pause and pull them up. Okay. So rebuilding and growing your warm market is the title and the topic of this call. You need to get added to the newsletter, Jessica. Jessica, I know a quick way to get you that link is, and this goes for anybody who has a teammate that joins their team and you don't really know how to get someone on that newsletter. There is a cover photo in our team page that has a little list of things like step 1, step 2, step 3, whatever. And if you go to that cover photo and the text, the caption that is attached to that image, there is the link to subscribe to the newsletter. So if you're not getting the newsletters, definitely get on that. That's how I communicate to the team at large because I can't expect that you read every single post in the team page. That would just be crazy if you could. So that's kind of how I stay in touch with the people who want to have updates and all that kind of stuff. So I shared it in there. I normally do those on Sundays. I did a special one last night because I wanted to get it in your hands prior to this evening, knowing that not everyone would be on the call, so I wanted to get that in your hands to kind of get you looking through it because it starts tomorrow. That being said, and again, we're going to cover this later, but I'm going to say this right now while you're all fresh and not tired. I'm counting on you guys to leverage this with your teams and the people, not just your teams, the people that you know and love on this team. They're, what you may not understand or realize is it goes way farther when they're peers or you share this with them than when I just put it out there. I'm some figurehead, some spokesperson. So definitely make sure that the people that you know and care about on this team are familiar with this because the grand prize doesn't go out unless there is actually 30 people who submit it to at least 10 days. That's kind of my qualifier to give that big grand prize is people got to participate. Like we've got to have, and we need to count on each other to encourage each other and lift each other up. And this 12 days of giving, it's about giving, but you get so much back when you give, and you know this already. So make sure that you're sharing that with your peeps. All right. Maybe you have a success partner that you want to challenge yourself. I don't know. Maybe you want to create a success partnership. Maybe you're like, I don't have a success partner. Let me hook up with a few other coaches and we're going to challenge ourselves together. We're going to create a group message thread. I don't know. Create community around this. All right. There's my little rant. All right. So we're calling this rebuilding and growing your warm market. What you might want, like right now, and what got you excited about this topic was, okay, great. She's going to give me some tactics to add numbers to my Instagram account. She's going to show me some like strategies to, I don't know, grow my lists in like secret magic way. There's 4 strategies I'm gonna talk about, but it's not gonna quite be like the how to's that I've already provided in many a training. There's a lot of trainings out there on how to grow your network. What you're maybe looking for is a magical one that you like better. No, there's not a magical one that you're going to like better and that's easier to do. They all require a little bit of discomfort, I think. I mean, maybe they don't for you. I don't know. But I think that's what people are looking for is a special sauce, like a secret, like one that like, oh, that's easier. I can do that. That's not what we're talking about here. We already have all kinds of trainings around that. I'm going to actually tonight talk about a mindset around it and kind of an approach around this, that it's really easy to grow your network, no matter what algorithms change, no matter what dynamics in social media change, no matter what changes. Because when you take this kind of approach, it always works. It always works. You figure it, people find you. And it took me kind of a long time to figure out like why some of the ways I was trying to teach people how to grow their network and teach them to do this business wasn't working when it was working for me. And I realized because what they were doing was just the action steps and they weren't coming at it from the same approach. And it's not the tactics, it's not the steps so much that are the magic. It is the reason and the why and the approach behind it. And that's what we're going to talk about here tonight. And I'm learning a lot about why I've had success, and where I've been able to really duplicate success and where I haven't, through, and a lot of you know this, so apologize to repeat myself. I have been learning from Bob Heilig's Legacy Leadership Academy. He has a membership program or membership system where he calls himself your virtual upline. That's his kind of like tagline or whatever. But he's a network marketing professional. He is a favorite of mine because of his approach, because of what he stands for, because of the way he carries himself. It's really important to me to not just be like a salesy person who knows how to do network marketing well. That would not interest me. That does not get me excited. And I don't think any of the people that I attract here on this team, on this call, are those people either. Although I learn from like a lot of people who are network marketing gurus. But I've really settled in terms of like a mentorship kind of feel with Bob Heilig and what he does. And so he's teaching me a lot, and not a lot of things, I don't want to say. I will be shifting some of the things, the systems that we have, and you guys are going to love it because it's going to be simplifying this business so much. I didn't realize how much I was giving in the team was too much and actually holding people's success back. So we'll talk about that soon, but get excited because I'm excited. So, okay. Before we go into this rebuilding your warm market or rebuilding and growing your warm market, and please guys chime in, the chat, please. I'll be checking it from time to time. If something I'm saying doesn't make sense or you have a question or you're like, Megan, yeah, okay, I'm with you. I agree. I get it. But here's my pushback, or what would you say to this? Like, that's the kind of stuff I want to hear on these calls. I want to hear you. I don't want you just to think, oh, she's right. I'm sure she's right. I want to hear you be like, okay, I'm with you, but help me out here. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want to be able to, like, for you to be able to work through and have, you know, some interactive feedback. Okay. So like I said, we're not going to be doing like super like tactics of how to do, you know, follow certain hashtags and add your account. That's for other calls. I want to talk to those of you first before we go into this, because none of this is going to really matter. Or if this is where you're at, then the rest of this will be not really helpful for you. Okay, so those of you who are just you're just struggling to take action in general because of fear, which I know that's a lot of people. And even if that's not what you're characterized by in general, you know that, because I mean, I could say that's myself too. There's certain things that I fear can holds me back in the business. But obviously I'm acting and I'm growing a business. So this is valuable for everybody, but there are many of you who, it doesn't matter if I can't train you to build your market or to rebuild or grow your warm market if you're not taking any action right now. And you haven't figured out how to get across just starting the vital behaviors, right? And this might sting and this might step on toes. But if you are struggling to take action because of fear and you're paralyzed by fear, it comes down to selfishness. Okay. I can say this because I've been there. But if fear is keeping you from doing anything, I just want you to identify now that it's because, and especially, and you're probably, because you're here on Team Phoenix, you're probably somebody who's never considered yourself like that before. You've never considered yourself selfish because you're generous in other areas of your life. And so to think like, no, I'm just afraid, I'm just nervous, it really comes down to your being afraid of what people will think about you. And it comes down to you're more worried about your perception than sharing. You're more worried about what you'll get, what you can, and we're going to talk more about this later, what you may or may not get from the conversation than what you're giving. And this is a really hard pill to swallow. This was a really hard pill to swallow for me when I recognized what I was doing. Perhaps you're generous with other things. Probably the things that you're generous in life with are because you have less to lose. It's not as painful to give. I think about it like when and this is kind of, I hope this analogy makes sense. Like when I started Financial Peace, for those of you who are familiar with Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and we didn't have a crazy debt, but we were living pretty much paycheck to paycheck, and tithing is important for us. Giving to our church is important to us. And we were giving whatever we had left at the end of the month. And it wasn't necessarily a percentage, it was whatever we had left or whatever we felt we could part with, right? And in Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace, he talks to you about like saving off the top. You give 10%, you save 10%, like at the beginning of the month. And this was like terrifying to us because we were living paycheck to paycheck. We didn't think we had that money to save or give. Like when you thought about the 10%, we're like, yikes. And that was a number we chose in terms of 10%. You don't have to, this is not a talk on faith or giving to your church. It's just, I remember it was one thing to give what was easy to part with at the end of the month. It was another to trust that parting with that in the beginning was going to return to me. And that's the way I was looking at it. It was like, I can't part with this kind of money. Like what about me? And as I just kind of trusted this like generosity and the reason that you give, blah, 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 I realized like the very real difference in the way that I looked at money was, what will this do for me if I part with this money? And when I just looked at it as very much like, I am giving this out of generosity for this reason, not because I want to get in return. it was definitely painful and took some patience and it took some trust, but definitely we're blessed and rewarded by it. But it was that same, like, we can think about, it's easy to get, and here's the other part of it. We've been doing this for like years now, right? We automate our giving. So it's kind of like, I don't even know it's leaving the bank account, because as soon as it's in, it just goes. We've automated our giving, automated our saving. It's beautiful, but it's not painful enough anymore. And I realized that it was bothering me that it wasn't painful enough to give money. And it didn't feel as much like a generosity when it wasn't feeling it. And so something changed in my heart. And when we had like our like annual, whatever we called it this year, what was it they called it this year? It was some like big like share offering where we give it away to all these different organizations. And I told Niall, I was like, I want to feel this. I want this to be painful a little bit. Like, I want to write a check that's a number that's really uncomfortable, because I want to feel this being a little bit uncomfortable, because it does something in my heart. And that's, I don't know if that analogy like helps anybody, but it definitely helps me. And I think a lot of you who are not taking action because of fear, it's because it's about what you're going to lose. You're more concerned about what you're going to lose than what you're going to give to others. And I don't have magic counsel to make you not afraid right now, but I do feel like creating that awareness at least can help you. Can at least help you to identify it when you're trying to mask it in other things, because you will, because you're going to try to, because you're going to call it humility, because you're going to call a lot of things, but it's all BS, it's selfishness. And how you work through that, maybe for another call, I don't know, might be for whatever. I can't, that's not what this call is about right now, but I do think it's important to create an awareness so that you know that's something that you're going to want to work on, or just kind of decide, begin to decide, do I truly want to change lives? Did I really join this for the reason that I thought, or do I really need validation? Do I really need someone to like give me that immediate feedback of a yes or a good job, or, is that truly what? So think of it this way: if you're not taking action, then it's because you're worried about yourself. I have these notes. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss anything. So anyway, so shifting, basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to shift from this success mindset to a significance mindset. And because success is about you and significance is about others. Not that success is anything's wrong with like desiring success, but if this business for you is defined by what kind of success you can achieve and not by what kind of significance you can make, you're likely gonna like be burnt out or just quit eventually, because this is not the kind of no kind of business that you're gonna have long term will you not burn out from focusing on it in that way. And I know that Team Phoenix tends to attract not the kind of people who are here just to like make money. And I know you came here for heart-centered reasons. The problem is sometimes we realize that our desire to help people is not stronger than our desire to protect our own selves. And it will become a matter of, are you ready and willing to work through it? Are you ready and willing to work through that kind of that imbalance? Okay. So Kami says, doesn't take faith to give what is comfortable. Yes, Christy Wright says, fear is not knowing what is ahead, and faith is not knowing what is ahead. But stepping in faith will take you somewhere you've never dreamed of being. Something like that. I love that, Kami. And my pastor said something this weekend, and I think it pertains to a lot of things. He said, where God sees, or where we see addition, God sees multiplication. And I think of that in terms of generosity and giving, where we see addition, where it's like, what if I don't reach out to that one person? Whatever. You have zero idea the impact that you didn't make when you didn't reach out to that one person. Because that one person, that one little thing you thought was so minor, may have very well had massive exponential impact, but we're so small-minded, we cannot possibly know what the things that we do and the acts, the people we talk to, the things we do, how much impact they're going to have. We can only see what's superficial and right in front of us. But that's because we want to be in control of our environment. We think we are. So, okay, moving on. All right. Oh gosh, I have so many things from this on this topic, but I think I need to skip through some of it. So if you have gotten the PDF that I sent last night, or that I put in the email last night, there is a hyperlink in there that is the Rebuilding and Growing Your Warm Market Implementation Guide. I really strongly encourage you to read that, because I don't want to go through that in entirety on this call. I want you to spend the time. It's very robust, and I would really encourage you to go through that. That's from Bob Heilig. That's from his Legacy Leadership Academy. Chelsea says, I was always wrong about the people I reach out to. Some people, I'm so sure they want nothing to do with me. Stephanie, you're a great example of that. I was afraid to invite you after 15 plus notes. I love that example. Hang tight. Okay. So next, here's something that is an activity that I want you guys, before we keep going, I want you guys to take the time to write for a couple minutes. Let me set you up. I want you to identify and clarify what you want people to say about you. Do you want people to say, Chelsea crushed Beachbody? Chelsea totally killed it. She was able to quit her job. Chelsea totally whatever, got X rank. Or do you want them to say, dude, Chelsea shows up every day. Chelsea cares. Chelsea's legit. She works full time, but here she is still pouring into me. Do you want them to say, well, yeah, I had a coach or a customer, which is a discount coach, reach out to me, and this is a woman who's lost a lot of weight. She lost a lot of weight at one time, semi-healthy way. She gained a bunch of it back, and then she lost more of it with Beachbody, and she's strength training. She's going to some tropical vacation. And she said, she reached out to me. She's like, Megan, I set down this number goal for what I want my Bahamas goal to be. And it was it was how much I had lost, because she had lost more weight the first time around. And she thought that was her number. She knew she could get there, and she put that number down. But then she was like, let me go back and dig up my measurements then. So she dug up her measurements from whatever ago she lost 80 pounds. And she looked at her measurements compared to when she just finished the 80-day obsession this year. And she was 14 pounds, she's 14 pounds heavier now. After this 80-day obsession, she's 14 pounds heavier, but she recognized her inches were 5 inches smaller now at 14 pounds heavier. And she just didn't know, because in her head, there was a number that she was trying to attain. And she's been very weight focused for a long time. And she's like, this is crazy. So she's celebrating how awesome that is. But then she's like, but now I don't know what number is my goal now. Now I don't know what kind of goal to set. And I was like, I don't have really an answer for you, but maybe it comes down to inches, maybe it comes down to the clothing size. I don't really know. I think those are good things to have. We need to have targets. I said, but I would want to ask the question, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that's in a size 6 clothing? Or do you want to be the woman who wakes up every day and cares about her body enough to exercise, because that's just what she does? She's the woman who buys healthy food because that's just what she does, because that's who she is, because her kids are important for them to see how she lives. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that kind of goal. I want to hear more about that kind of goal. Who do you want to be? Not targets are great. They give us something to measure and track, but who do you want to be? So I want to ask you right now, what do you want people to be able to say about you? What do you want your business to be characterized by? At the end of your life, what do you want people to thank you for? Do you want them to say, wow, that girl really cares. She is showing up to give value. She this isn't just a business. This isn't just a side hustle. This isn't just like she's only talking to me when she wants something from me. Like, I want to take like 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. Everybody, just, I'll be quiet. And I want you to write down what you want people to say about you in the way you carry yourself as a coach in your business, what you want to be characterized by, what kind of messages do you want to hear back from you in your inbox, hear back from people in your inbox. Take a few minutes. I'm gonna mute. Okay. I hope that was valuable to you. I think a lot of us don't take the time to actually put those words on paper. Maybe we think about it, but have you actually put it on paper? Have you actually like put that somewhere to remind you when you are giving yourself BS stories? Because that's generally what happens is we come in with this desire to be a certain kind of person, but then it turns into like our why turns into a lie and we don't even realize it. It turns into a lie that those things aren't really as important as other things turn out to be for us. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard like people talk about the network marketing statistics of oh, network marketing isn't whatever isn't legit, only like X percentage. I'm not sure what the stat is, but some like small percentage of people are successful. And so that's what they use to determine that it's not a good model. And people actually believe these things. People who are in network marketing see those stats and are like, oh, well, I mean, if only the 10%, 15% or whatever it is, what are my odds? And then doubt and fear and all that stuff is created. And, I had heard those things when I got involved, but like, I just didn't care enough to I wasn't trying to like be successful. And honestly, I believe that's largely a part of my success was I wasn't expecting a certain thing to come back. So I showed up regardless, and that kind of worked in my favor. But now that I've been in here for 5.5 years and I've had countless coaches come through, Team Phoenix, what I know to be true is it's not that network marketing doesn't work. It's that people don't work. It's that we're not promised a paycheck like we are. It's way easier for us to show up for a job we don't like for mediocre pay because we can count on what we're going to get. But when it comes down to showing up not knowing, we just don't show up for it because we're expecting some kind of reciprocity. We know that salary or whatever, even if it's not what we think we deserve, is going to get matched. It's kind of promised to us. The people who make network marketing work are those who are willing to not receive that immediate gratification, that immediate feedback, that immediate return. There is such a generosity involved that they don't need that to know that this is where they belong. They're making a difference. I've said this a bazillion times. You've probably heard me say it. Like I've never had anybody walk away from this business saying that's done it and said this doesn't work or it doesn't work for me, because nobody has actually done all the things to make it work. They just cannot get themselves across the threshold to give and not get in return. And I mean, that's a hard thing when you have other things in life that you're like, well, I know what I can get if I did that in place of this time. I know that if I took this hour and like just had lunch with a friend, that I at least had lunch with a friend. And that is where that therein is where the challenge lies. So, okay, we're going to get more into these strategies now. And if you've read through this PDF, definitely, if you haven't, don't start reading it now. Just print it or whatever. I think it's like the first hyperlink within that PDF that I've created. It's like network, what is it called? Legacy Leadership Masterclass PDF. I'm pulling a lot of content from his stuff, and I'm trying to throw in some of the kind of Beachbody application for me. Chelsea says she's obsessed with it. I love it. I mean, I just love what he stands for, because I realize it's all that I've ever done and stood for, but I wasn't articulating it as well as he does, and not to my team. And he's just teaching me a lot about being a network marketing leader. I mean, I just admit that I've got a lot of room to grow in terms of like training people in network marketing. Also, I mean, I'm going to embrace the success I've had at it, duplicating, but also recognize that I want to grow for you guys. I get excited about that challenge of becoming better so that I can help you guys. But if you read the top of this, he talks about people, you're stressed out because you don't know where to find new people to talk to. You've been in the business and for a long time, you think you've gone through your list. You feel like you're wasting your time working hard, but you're not making any progress. All those things a lot of us can relate to, right? And he says this is not necessarily the quick and easy fix. It takes patience. And so I'm just going to put that out there right now. This does take patience. It does take patience to create the kind of loyal relationships and the connections that build you an amazing business, but it is so worthy. And I mean, this is basically everything that I've done, and he's put it into better words than I ever have. But I love that he breaks it down into the givers and the takers. And this is a hard thing for, I think, some of us to read. And again, I'm not going to read through all of it, but he was talking about this book called Give and Take. And it's a research book. Like, he's researching businesses. It's not just the warm fuzzies of giving and taking, but he's researching businesses. And then he identifies there's givers, takers, and matchers. And givers are people who are willing to extend themselves without asking anything in return. A lot of us are matchers who think we're givers. We only give with the expectation of getting something in return. There's a big difference. Matchers and givers are not the same. Givers are much more comfortable expressing vulnerability because they're genuinely interested in helping others. And he says pure givers will excel at what they do. So this is not something, guys, that you can use as a business strategy if you don't truly feel it. So don't take my words like, hey, I'm gonna like act like I'm generous. That's not gonna work. But I just want you to hear this list of the taker mentality. Maybe if this sounds like maybe something you've done. You don't take time to find out if your prospect actually has a need for what you're offering them. When someone tells you no, that's the last time they hear from you. That's a big one I know happens legit all the time for a lot of people. You don't know all your leaders' motivations or reasons for doing the business. You don't really listen to people or take consideration their points of view. Majority of your posts on social media are promoting or selling. I don't think that's our team. You copy and paste. I don't think our team does a lot of that. You only reach out to people you know when you want to prospect them. The first time your team hears from you is at the end of the month. I think what a lot of us are doing is contacting people and not really following up with them. We're not staying in touch with them. We're not really learning more about how we can help them. And the first strategy we're going to look at is value-driven follow-ups. And this is what this is kind of like the first part where you can start to like take notes, pull out your pen. Hang on, someone's asking questions. Is the book? Yes, Adam Grant, that's the author, Jessica. So she's familiar with that. You showed me it was more about consistency than constraint. I could tell you really cared about me and my health, making it better. You showed me that aging doesn't have to equal becoming more sedentary and less joy or fuller living. So Sue, is this something that someone sent to you? I love that. That's amazing. And I hope you guys, and does anybody else want to share like what they wrote down? If you put it on like a document, I mean, please feel free to share with the team if you're comfortable doing that. But those of you who have ever felt burnt out, he says one of the biggest causes of burnout, of the burnt out warm market, is a taker mentality. So if you feel like you have got no one else to talk to and you've been asking the same people the same time to purchase and they keep telling you no, you might be a taker. Okay, so let's talk about value-driven follow-ups. Sharing what we wrote earlier. Yes, Chelsea. Yes. Okay. Let me do my notes. All right. So you think we tell you to track because it's a great business strategy. It is. But really, the important part about tracking for me is being able to like have some value to give back to that person later on. I can't possibly remember what someone's struggles were when I started talking to them. I can't possibly remember when someone told me no exactly why it was. I can't possibly remember their goals, right? And this is like the main reason we've got to track, is because people need to feel like people that are not just numbers. And if you're struggling with tracking because you're just not organized, that was me, okay? But I want you to think about the people that you're talking to. And yes, well, I could give you the statistic about like, it takes 5 or 8 connections before someone purchases. Yes, we can talk about that statistic. That is real. But I want to just talk about like the heart reason. And that is to be able to reply to them next week when you maybe come across a podcast or a recipe or a resource or a book or a PD or whatever that Molly Rose, I love that, Molly. That is, yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing. My Connection Builder, MCB, has helped Molly feel like a better giver because MCB is a really great way to track. It's a tool for people to track their business. For those of you who aren't familiar and you want to give it a shot, I think there's like a 30-day trial, and then there's like a $5 a month option after that. But it's a way to track the people you're talking to and to take notes and to be able to follow up with them and personally share. It means so much to somebody to be able to like follow up with a resource that you specifically found that made you think of them. I'm going to just pull out a couple of the points he makes. You guys, again, please take the time to dig into all that he has to offer on this topic. But he says value-driven follow-ups are based on something called the principle of reciprocity. When people feel like a connection or almost indebted to you when you give value. Even like our social media, that is value-driven. That is a connection. That is a deposit into a relational account. So this is also something he talks about. And value-driven follow-ups are a major way that we deposit into relational accounts. How we show up in video, how we show up in like stories, how we show up in people's inboxes is deposits into the relational account. And when people get so much from you, they feel like they're indebted to you. So even if they're not ready to purchase right now, they're not ready to join you right now, they're not going to go somewhere else because you've kind of like marked them as yours, because you've made that first connection and you've continued to provide value. When they're ready, you're going to be their person. I think so many of us just want to go build our network, and it's on your tracker for a reason. Yes, it's on your business activity tracker. You need to grow your network. You have to constantly be building that network. But you've, as much, if not more than that, need to be really taking care of the people who are already there, that you've already talked to, that already told you no. Next is the other strategy, number 2, is live video. Now, we really right now have a high level of effectiveness with Insta stories, but Facebook Live, Instagram Live, all of those are the same in terms of, or they're all similar in terms of depositing into relational accounts. That's why I'm so like hard. I hit this hard, like you've got to be using stories right now, because that is the way that you really build people's the relational accounts. So here's what I think. Just think about it this way throughout the day. Think of like sharing on stories. If you can't like post on stories at any given moment, that's fine. Like I just take a lot of pictures and video throughout the day, even if I can't share it. And sometimes I don't, but throughout the day, I'm not thinking of what will build my business today. What is a good post today? I'm thinking of what am I doing throughout my day that could provide value to somebody else. That is the way I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about it in terms of, is this a good post, or is this something that's going to give me back? Is this going to get a like? So I'm able to capture things, and then when I have a moment to post, oftentimes I'll post in real time when I can, but I think so many of you probably struggle to post because you're like, well, I don't work from home all day like you, Megan. It's not as easy for me. You don't have to post in real time. You can capture a photo, you can capture a meal, you can capture, I don't know, being in traffic, stuck at a light, and like whatever, like positive quote was going through your head that keeps you from being irritated at that moment, that might give someone else value because they're the person who's barking at the light, or the people holding up traffic. You know what I mean? Like be able to like share, like, wow, the old me would have been the person cussing at the light. But like right now, I'm just chill. And this is what I'm thinking. Like that's a moment you can capture and be able to share later. This is the kind of stuff when you grow your business through your personal growth and share that value, that's depositing into that relational account. Okay, so I mentioned number 1, value-driven follow-ups, 2, live video marketing. He goes into something on number 3, which is more talks to leaders who have like larger teams. So I don't think it's as valuable for this conversation. It definitely was helpful for me. But here's the next one. So it'll be year number 3, and that's dormant ties. He calls dormant ties, I forget his exact definition, but it's like, you know, somebody that you had a good relationship at one point, you just haven't been connected in a while. You just haven't like been in touch. So, you know, you don't have like that, like, you know, close connection right now, but at one time you had a solid relationship. And some of you have been in this business long enough that you have dozens of people who you've contacted only once. Like, I know I have, and it got me thinking, wow, like there are people that I maybe I talked to once and I never followed up with, or they were in a free group and they never jumped on board with anything. And I thought all the dormant ties that I have. And I'm doing my own 12 Days of Giving with Bob Heilig, and his question, he has a little bit different. Like, I edited ours for our team and for our business, but he's training us as leaders and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go into it, but this is one of the things, dormant ties. And so this was stretching me, and his started already. And I'm participating also in his, and I'll be participating in this one. But I realized, wow, like these are people who I actually already have a connection with. And here I am, like spending all my time trying to like build relationships with brand new people who don't even know me yet. And as I'm looking through this list, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I am spending way too much time on these people. But those of you who are newer in the business, you have people from high school, from college, from former jobs that you haven't maybe reached out to, that are dormant ties. And so when we get into the 12 Days of Giving, there's going to be a challenge for you to start to reach out to some of these dormant ties. And one of the things I'll ask you to do, encourage you to do before we get going on this challenge, is to write down a list. To not every day try to find a new dormant tie, because you're gonna psych yourself out trying to find the perfect dormant tie. You're gonna like, oh, not that one, not that one, not that one. And you're gonna waste your time trying to find the right people to talk to. I really encourage you to have a list to work from in general in your business. But I can see like our tendency will be to like, I'm gonna prejudge this one and keep searching for the right one. So I encourage you to not get yourself into that kind of rabbit hole of spending a quarter of your power hour trying to find the right person to send a message to. And then this last one is random acts of generosity. That's our last strategy. So let me turn my page. 2 minutes. Jessica, I've put it in the team files too. So if you go to the team page file section, there's a document that has it all right there as well. And so this last strategy is random acts of generosity, and we're going to be working on that in the 12 Days of Giving. And there's a whole like example list, and you can come up with your own. But I wrote this down from Bob's training: is the biggest missing piece for many of you is gratitude. This quote from Tony Robbins is really good. When you can trade your expectations for appreciation, the world changes instantly. When you begin to focus not on what you don't have or what you think you should have more of, but you start expressing gratitude for what you do have, you immediately start feeling more abundant. I have heard this from my coaches. I've heard things like, and maybe you've heard yourself saying this, I'm just not making enough money. Meanwhile, some of you have made enough to like make getting your Shakeology really comfortable, you know, whereas before it was a real pain. It was a real like struggle. It was a real like, guys, I canceled cable to get Shakeology back 6.5 years ago. And I have to like, when I remember that, like the gratitude that comes from my heart is like, it's epic. But I think we expect more, not saying that you don't want to dream big and have high expectations, but when we think about what we don't have and we're not able to like, oh my gosh, like I actually like cover all my Shakeology this month. Oh my gosh, like I can actually afford all my supplements. Like last year, the thought of me investing this number of dollars on supplements for my like fitness would have been crazy. Who gets to do that? We do, you know. Like we focus on, and that's why I'm like, you don't have any wins. Like when you cannot see what you got to give someone in this business, like that's sad to me. It's sad to me that we can't see this opportunity to share as a gift, and that somebody seemed to be touched by something we shared. All we can see is where we're not, because we have such weird expectations rather than appreciation. Or I'll see people say, this person's on the call today, and I'm gonna call her, I'm not gonna say her name, but she was saying something about, yeah, I just wasn't seeing results in my business. And I was like, well, what does results mean to you? Does it really just mean like money or validation, or the results you want to share with people are not just the income? It's like you have a community that means something to you. Like results means, you know, friendships, or results means there are so many different ways for me to look at results, personal growth. And if I just think, oh, I'm not having like X number of dollars, or my rank is dropping, I'm not seeing results. Meanwhile, there's so much in me that's changing, or I have connections, relationships, community that's blessing me. Those are results that we can appreciate and talk about. And here's one that I've found myself saying, and I was just saying this to another coach this weekend on the phone. I will whine about how much I have to do. I'm like, oh my gosh, my workload is just out of control. Like, ugh. And it's like, when you feel that way, you procrastinate, stall, and don't bring your best. And when I see myself doing that, I pause and I'm like, who gets to do what you do? Like, like who gets to do what you do? Just be thankful that you have a list of people who want to hear back from you. Be thankful that you have a list of people to talk to. And as I've led with that in my business, I attract so much to my business. And I feel like there's a lot of that lacking in our team, is gratitude, is appreciation, is loving what you currently have, and having a hard time like inviting people into it. And so it's kind of this cycle, this like self-fulfilling prophecy of not creating results, because we're not grateful enough for what we have to give it to others. And so we just kind of repeat this cycle and convince ourselves of the same. And that's what I want to kind of trigger with this 12 days of giving, is to just operate from gratitude. Forget like what you wanted to give back to you. Forget what you want like the Success Club points to be. Yes, have your targets, have your business goals. Like I'm all about those. But I really want people to see what happens when they treat their business this way intentionally. Because that's when this becomes a blessing. That's when this becomes something that you can't imagine not doing. I'm able to like say, you know what, this business is giving me more than I ever wanted, I could have ever thought and asked for. So we don't need to show up each day, but I can't not now, because now I feel like I can't not give it back to people. Then there are times and moments where I'm like, I feel like I'm sucking, or I'm struggling, or I'm not good enough. You know, when I realized what a bad network marketing leader I was like, well, dang, why do they even like me? They should just probably cancel. They should all just like, they just followed the wrong girl. I'm an idiot, you know. Is where like I could have gone, and like I have that like moment of like, oh dang, oh man, I suck. You know, I wanted to go there. But you know, of course, that's not where I went. It was like, wow, what an opportunity that I have to grow as a person and to like help others. And I'm excited about that. I want to give that back. Okay, so I want to go through this 12 days of giving real quick, because it is getting so late. I feel like some of you are doing a lot of this well. Okay, a lot of you are, like a lot of you are doing it great. But what you're struggling with more is the not asking. You're not leveraging the invite. And this is back that side. Like a lot of your giving, like I think I've told you now, I also say things like, wow, so-and-so is really killing it with social media. They must be doing a great job. I'm like, well, they're showing up on that side of it. Well, they're not, but their business isn't really growing because they're not actually leveraging the invite. And then I have those coaches who their social media isn't like, stellar, but they are like back behind the scenes giving, and growing their business. So it's not about, just putting out the value. We have to leverage the invite. We have to ask for the sale. And that's hard for a lot of us who are the warm fuzzies, and we don't think, but that's selfish validation seeking that we're looking for, myself included. Okay, here's my disclaimer before we go into the 12 days of giving. What can happen to a lot of you, because a lot of you are very giving in nature, is there's that struggle to create boundaries. So let me just make sure I'm putting that out there. You can't give with no expectation of something in return for so long to people who are just taking, okay? So if you have like challengers who wants a lot from you, you've got to be really careful about creating boundaries. That can probably get lost by having this conversation. Has anybody found themselves like where they've kind of given someone too much and that person's kind of taken advantage of them in this business? I know that I did that for a long time in the beginning, and I've learned to, you do have to create boundaries. You can't just give and not, and just the reminder here is that the root of generosity is love, and boundaries are often are a part of love too. We have to, do have to offer some kind of boundaries. So like, for example, when I tell my coaches, I'll match your effort when they sign up with me. I'll match your effort. What you give, I'll give. That's not really true. I actually will give them more than they give me. But what I'm trying to communicate for them is, I can't want this for you. If you're not showing up at a certain level, I can't chase you. I can't do it for you. I'm not going to drag you. So I'm kind of communicating from the front end. You've got to show me a certain level of investment for me to invest a certain level into coaching and mentoring you. And if that person isn't, I have to create that boundary of kind of figuring out what I'm going to give before I'm just like, okay, this is not the person we need to show. Because I love them, I'm going to help create this accountability in this relationship. And so this goes for all our relationships. It is love to show boundaries in relationships. You've got to let people know, where those lines are. If they take advantage of you, it's your fault, not theirs. So just kind of wanted to put that disclaimer out there, because this is really hard for a lot of you who are very purpose-centered, heart-driven, and you give a lot in your business, but you're not actually working with the people who are willing to work for themselves, or they're waiting for you to do it for them when they're Okay, so 12 days of giving, quick review. Should I open it right here? Yes. All right. Here it is. Okay. All right, guys. So this is in the file section. You can grab the document that has this all listed out at the bottom. You can link to the PDF. Basically, there's going to be a form that you're going to fill out each day, and that link is here, but it's also going to be posted every day on the team page. And you're going to be reaching out to a dormant tie on your list and reconnect. I will add a little script of what I'm for that you're welcome to use or not. I'm just putting these here in this inviting scripts for you to have if you're not sure what to say. I don't love scripts, that, but they're good for inspiration. So reaching out to each day, a new dormant tie, reaching out to someone on your team. If you don't have a team, a customer or contact, not about business. 3 simple things you're grateful for, at least 1 random act of generosity. And this was supposed to say invite 5 people, and at least 3 needed to be a paid group, but you got to, because I messed up, I'm not sure what happened, you kind of get a pass on it being 5, it's 3 people, but they do have to be, they do need to be to a paid challenge. This is everybody's going to be inviting, not just to a free group. This is going to make you uncomfortable. Some of you are still having a hard time with inviting, but you will, that's going to be a pay group. And then, you know, if they end up not like, you can invite them to a free group after, if they tell you no. That's generally what happens for me. If somebody, I get to like a no, I'm like, well, you know, I'm doing this new free thing coming up. How about you test it out, test the waters there. So, and then starting on, you're going to need to follow up with these people. So making sure that you're just following up, not just putting an invitation out, but if they're not responding, making sure that you're actually in their inbox again. There are some links here. Scripts guide, this is Bob Heilig's. Some of them are not the way I would speak, but they're a good starting place. Definitely take a look at them, you know, grain of salt, these kind of things, because it just depends on how you talk. Same with my scripts, really, but the random acts of generosity are on the last page, or samples, ideas if you know, need some inspiration. Optional live video, if you do a live video from this optional challenge, your entry will be doubled that day. So you'll go into the raffle twice. Every day has a new gift that I'm raffling off. And how to participate, fill out the form, and share below on the post. Okay, you have to share a little bit. And then prizes I'm offering, I have a Rachel Hollis Start Today journal, I have Lamb Glow bubble masks, I have my favorite Lululemon scarf, Shaun T's book, and I have a bunch of other things. I have like shaker, like the performance shakers, and like the curvy ones. I have lots of stuff. So we have 12 of those, new prize every day that I'm raffling off for anybody who enters that day. And then there's a grand prize should 30 of you check in at least 10 times. And that will be 3 months of home cleaning from a service in your area. So I would love to be able to gift that to you. This says I'll do the drawing on the 24th. I'll actually do it the day after Christmas, because I realized you would be completing the last one on Christmas Eve, and yeah. Yes, that's it. Questions? Any of you having thoughts like, okay, Megan, sounds cool, but here's my pushback. Is the form in the team page. It will be on the post every single day that goes in the team page, and it's also on that PDF that is in the file section of the team page. So I put this whole 12 Days of Giving challenge in the file section of the team page. I put it in a unit. It has this PDF on it, has the form in it, has everything right there. Yeah, any questions, any feedback, pushback, aha moments, something. Give me something. You know how hard it is to talk to yourself for an hour? It's really hard. You get really tired of your own voice. Thanks, Cammie. All right, well, I'm gonna ask for your feedback. I'm gonna ask for your feedback in the team page in my little typical team call takeaway post, okay? And I would love to hear. And I am excited. I hope you guys are excited. I love the idea of accountability to being a better person. I mean, I'm not doing all this every day for sure right now. So I love the accountability and the incentive. This sounds random, but like I have my gray account that I do is a total side thing, like not for my business, just like, and I got 1,000 followers this weekend, and I was posting today about like, I'm so grateful, not for the 1,000 followers, like good for me, whatever. I'm so grateful for the accountability to what I said I came to do. That's what I'm grateful for. That's what I want. Like, I want to be a better person. I want to grow. And any opportunity or challenge like this that like holds me to that standard, like I get excited about. So I assumed many of you were like me and are super excited. So I did get some awesome emails back and texts. So I'm excited that you're excited, but I hope you're pumped like I am. So, all right, guys, have a good night, get some rest, and let's go love some people. Let's do that. That's a fun job, right? Okay, good night, y'all.